Attention shoppers. Tonight on the checkout, the pitfalls of the gift that doesn't keep on giving. Ben takes a fresh look at claims to freshness, and Craig gets a price check on lowest price guarantees.
When you're buying a gift, it's the thought that counts.
And nothing says, I haven't really thought about this gift more than a gift card.
About $1.5 billion worth of gift cards are purchased in Australia every year, so they're very popular.
Though not with everyone. The prevalence of gift cards is understandable.
They're a very convenient option. Convenient, that is, for the person who's giving the present.
Gift cards can also be good for the receiver. There's some people you just don't want choosing a present for you.
I hate you!
But even if they're not lovingly gift-wrapped, gift cards come with strings attached.
In the form of terms and conditions like expiry dates. A lot of viewers have asked, are they allowed? And the answer is yes.
Most gift cards expire after 12 or 24 months, and the expiry is not always listed clearly on the card. In Australia, though, that's all legal. Unlike America, where all gift cards can't expire until at least 5 years after they're bought.
So in the US, the right to bear gifts is actually better regulated than the right to bear arms. OK, I'm sorry.
A handful of Australian businesses offer gift cards that never expire.
Happy birthday.
But with all the rest, when you buy someone a gift card, what you're really giving them
You've got 12 months.
is a deadline.
Retailers say that most gift cards are redeemed within 3 months, but many gift cards expire before they're used. In fact, in 2010, Choice estimates that up to 30% of gift cards went unused. So if you're given a gift card, remember to use it before you lose it.
It's a $20 Coles card. Thanks.
Otherwise, the one who gets the gift could be the retailer.
Happy birthday to you.
Another advantage of using gift cards quickly is that you won't get caught out if the business goes bust. In fact, that's the #1 complaint about gift cards.
When Borders and Angus and Robertson went belly up in 2011, the administrators changed gift card rules so that you could only use them if you bought double the value of the card.
Sorry.
Then they stopped accepting them at all.
If you're buying a gift card, it's worth checking the terms and conditions for the sake of that special, but not quite special enough to buy a proper present for person. And there are some nasty surprises in there, like the Australia Post Visa gift card that charges a $5.95 activation fee on top of the value of the card. And checking your balance by phone costs $4 a call. Event cinemas, which won't let you pay their online booking fee with gift cards. Athlete's Foot, which for some reason excludes transactions under $20. And of course, Jetstar. They only let you use gift cards for one transaction, and if it's not for the full value of the card, the unused balance is forfeited.
That is $680, please.
Do you accept gift cards?
Actually, no. That's a common rule, as is not redeeming gift cards for cash. And I think that one's expired.
Stores can legitimately refuse to honour expired gift cards, but it's still worth asking if they'll honour your card. Some stores might be flexible.
Within reason.
Happy birthday to you.
If you get a gift card that you're not going to use,
I hate you less.
you can just sell it yourself on eBay or sites like it, or just re-gift it to someone else.
I hate you. Often we buy gift cards because we feel awkward about giving cash, or because we want the recipient to treat themselves, not spend it on something mundane. At the same time, cash doesn't expire or have other conditions that the recipient might regret. So it's worth at least thinking about whether a gift card really is better than plain old cash. But if you are giving a gift card, remember to check the expiry date. Because no one wants a happy occasion to end in regret.
KOGAN heart rate monitor watch. Run free with no chest strap.
Let's get running.
Do not expose this device to moisture.
So I can't sweat?
Or sunlight.
What? You've got to be kidding. Yes, I'm aware my heart rate is rising.
KOGAN heart rate monitor watch for runners who don't like water or sunlight.
Whew. Hey, I have the same watch, and it sucks!
Fresh. What a versatile word. It can be used to describe anything from a juicy apple to a Prince of Bel-Air. Still, when we see it on a packet, what does it mean? Well, let's begin with the dictionary definition, and for that, we brought in the help of this high school debater. Colin?
The Macquarie Dictionary.
Colin?
The Macquarie Dictionary defines fresh as not canned or frozen, not preserved by pickling, salting, drying, etc.
Thank you, Colin. Only it's not as simple as that, as the federal court found out earlier this year, when Coles was asked to explain why its freshly baked bread had in fact been frozen after being par-baked as far away as Ireland 6 months earlier. Now, the lawyers over at Coles argued...
The word fresh needs to be understood in a retail environment.
If that sounds a bit weird, just remember that it needs to be understood in a trying to not get sued environment. So, what can you call fresh in a retail environment? Well, the ACCC have laid out some guidelines in this veritable page-turn of a document called the Food and Beverage Industry's Food Descriptors Guideline to the Trade Practices Act, or BFDGPA. And it's a pretty dry read, so we've asked some beloved Australian actors to help us make it more interesting.
Damn it, Tom. What does the word fresh even mean to you?
Janet, you know it can refer to the nature of a food, its age, and its taste.
So, fresh can refer to the taste of a food regardless of condition, which is a pretty broad stroke. And why you find products like this, a long life milk with a fresh milky taste. But let's get back to the guidelines.
Look, generally, consumers may understand that a fresh food has not been frozen, processed, preserved, dehydrated, canned, or cured. And it's tearing me apart.
So, foods that have been frozen or pickled shouldn't be referred to as fresh?
The term may be used as part of a brand name.
Not when it gives the impression that it's fresh. When it's not.
Thanks, guys. That was fantastic. Hey, can we get some Logies in here for these two?
Absolutely.
Go ahead, take a couple. So with all that in mind, what's going on with a brand of frozen vegetables called Steam Fresh? We asked Heinz, who told us...
Fresh is not used as a descriptor or claim. It is part of a registered trademark, Steam Fresh.
Go on.
Steaming for a short period of time ensures preservation of texture and flavour during the cooking process. The use of a trademark Steam Fresh refers to the steam cooking style of a meal preparation.
Oh, I get it. So in your brand, the word steam means steam, but the word fresh obviously doesn't mean fresh, even though they're in the same clumsy word. Now, of course, these terms can be slippery when dealing with packaged goods, but what about fresh produce? Well, over at the Fresh Food People, they told us that...
Fresh for Woolworths is about dealing directly with the farmer, cutting down the time it takes for a product to arrive at one of our supermarkets.
And that's great. But Woolworths also told us that their growers can cold store their apples for up to 10 months, which means that you could be eating this apple in 2015.
Your apple.
Ah, thank you. Fresh. Now, this is all by way of saying that the retail context that Coles lawyers were talking about gives companies an awful lot of scope. So if the dictionary definition of fresh is important to you when you're shopping around, just remember,
The Consumer Dictionary defines fresh as the taste of a product, regardless of condition or whether it is frozen, pickled, stored for 10 months, or an irrelevant collection of sounds in a brand name.
Great job, Colin. Oh, fine. Someone give him a logie.
Avoid chlorine? This swimsuit isn't for pools. Weird, no? And it isn't alone. Some swimsuit labels say no chlorine, no suntan lotions, no spas or hot tubs, and don't even think about rough surfaces. It's an even bigger maritime concern than Sharknadoes. So what's up with all that? Well, broadly speaking, there are two kinds of swimsuits: polyester swimsuits and nylon and elastane swimsuits. Now, if you're swimming in a chlorinated pool, the best option is a 100% PBT polyester swimsuit or a polyester blend. They're durable, but they're not so stretchy. They can be uncomfortably warm and they're not available in so many colours. Sorry. But if you care more about what a swimsuit looks like, you want a nylon and elastane-based swimsuit. They're colourful, they're more comfortable, and they're stretchy. But because of the nylon, the colours can fade or become see-through. And if the elastane is untreated, the swimsuit can deteriorate when exposed to chlorine. The hotter the pool and the more chlorine in it, the more quickly a nylon and elastane-based swimsuit will deteriorate. So always read the label before you buy your swimsuit. If you want to do this at the pool, then buy a polyester swimsuit. And if you want to do this at the pool, then buy a nylon and elastane one.
Or alternatively, swim in fake pools with no water in them.
Hey, isn't that block a rough surface?
Bugger!
There are some signs we just don't trust until we've tested them.
Wet paint. Caution hot. I'll be the judge of that.
But some we simply accept at face value.
Lowest prices. Cool.
And these days, lots of stores tell you they have the lowest prices.
Find a cheaper identical stocked item and we'll beat it by 5%.
Find a cheaper price on a stocked item, we'll beat it by 10%.
You don't have to shop around. You can shop with confidence, knowing that
We are constantly checking our prices against our competitors.
We monitor pricing every day on a huge range of products.
We check our prices at least twice a day, so you get the lowest price.
Now, you might think that lowest prices guaranteed means you actually get the lowest price.
That's the whole idea.
But that's not always the case.
In 2005, Flight Centre agreed to stop using the slogan lowest airfares guaranteed for 5 years. The ACCC, for some reason, thought lowest airfares guaranteed implied some sort of guarantee that Flight Centre would have the lowest airfares. But after a limited survey, they found this wasn't true.
Here at the Checkout, we love limited surveys too. And since Officeworks has
A very passionate team who are dedicated to reviewing the pricing.
we put our own team of passionate price checkers on the job too.
Excuse me, sir, my work experience should have finished 3 weeks ago.
Silence, or I'll make you pull Barry's chair! But until next week, that's all from us. Goodbye. Well done, kid. Back to my trailer.
Our interns found that despite the guarantees, finding a lower price with competitors was easy. Far easier than getting a paying job in television.
You mean we don't get paid?
So, lowest price guarantee doesn't necessarily mean you get the lowest price.
In fact, some studies even suggest they could push prices up. If you want the lowest prices, you're going to have to shop around and make the store honour their guarantee.
And while shopping around used to be difficult,
Cheapest apples in the world? We'll see about that. One apple, please.
told you so. Nowadays, comparing prices is a lot easier thanks to the invention of the intern. I mean the internet. But just because you find a cheaper price doesn't necessarily mean the stores will make it easy for you to enforce that guarantee. That's when you need... Sometimes just tracking the item down with a competitor can be difficult. Bunnings advertise
Ryobi cordless drill, $99. If you happen to find a cheaper price on a stocked item, we'll beat it by 10%.
which would be great if Bunnings hadn't done a deal with Ryobi to be the only seller of Ryobi products in Australia. And as they say at Bunnings, that's
just the beginning.
16 of the 20 products in this ad are sold exclusively at Bunnings. In fact, we found over 3,000 products across 28 brands that you can't find anywhere else.
There is nowhere to find a cheaper price. Diabolical. Walker, what are you gonna do, Walker? We're the only stockers, so technically these are the lowest prices. Enforce that!
Looks like you're out of stock. For good. Exclusive products aren't always obvious. Brother makes a standard version of this printer for most stores, and then a slightly different coloured one with a different product code which is exclusive to Officeworks. Which means even though you can get the standard one cheaper elsewhere,
we can't be beaten on price. Looks like you can be beaten. Guaranteed.
even if you do find an identical item, you may only be guaranteed to a dodgy excuse.
EB Games said they wouldn't match Grand Theft Auto because the competitor was charging below cost.
Bunnings told us that we had to include the competitor's delivery price even if we wanted to pick it up ourselves.
Officeworks said they wouldn't match a printer price because the competitor had a different restocking policy.
What's a restocking policy?
I have no idea.
Woohoo! While those excuses do exist, we've performed our own experiments, and you can use these guarantees to get lower prices, but only if you're really well prepared. Some companies do have exclusions, like they won't price match clearance items or products with different warranties. But you shouldn't cop unfair or hidden exclusions, especially if they weren't on the ad that told you there was a lowest price guarantee.
It says it on our website.
Searching for the lowest price on Google can return a lot of useless results. So use a price comparison website like Static Ice or ShopBot. If the competitor is an online-only store, you'll need to include their delivery price before you price compare. If you do find a cheaper price, write down the product model and the phone number and location of the store that has it in stock for that lower price. We managed to get these stores to match or beat all these lower prices. Officeworks even agreed to knock almost $350 off this laptop. Not that these stores then went and changed their prices for everybody else. Lucky Walker was there to do the job for them.
Hello, this is the new actual lowest price. It's been price checked by Walker Price Check Ranger.
Okay.
I've just put the new actual lowest price.
Ah, right, fair enough.
Walker Price Check Ranger, changing prices with his fists. So while businesses aren't meant to be misleading or create a false impression, you can't always trust their signs. If you think that a company isn't honouring their word, you can always make a complaint. But not in that way, because that's not nice. Okay, let's go before Paul Barry finds you gone. So you enjoying work experience?
No, not really.
I'm Rod Stowe, the New South Wales Fair Trading Commissioner. If I could say one thing, it's be very wary of tradies who come cold calling at your door. Travelling conmen from overseas or homegrown are rife throughout Australia. Be suspicious of anyone who turns up at your door unexpectedly with a special deal on driveway sealing, house or roof painting, high pressure cleaning, tree lopping or general handyman jobs. Be especially suspicious if they want a cash payment up front. Don't rely on your instincts. You can't tell if someone is dodgy just by the way they look or sound. Rogues with brogues can charm the birds out of the trees, and they specialise in conning the elderly and the vulnerable. They'll start off with a charm offensive, and many Australians have a soft spot for the accent, but you'll end up with a standard of work sure to offend you and fair trading. Every year, fair trading agencies receive hundreds of inquiries about unlicensed home building tradespeople. Tradies usually have to be licensed to do home building work, so always ask to see your tradies licence before they start the work, and contact your local building regulator to find out if it's the right licence for the work being done. There are special protections in this consumer law for unsolicited services. For example, there's a mandatory cooling off period of 10 business days if you change your mind. So even if you agree to something on the spot, but then regret it, you may still be able to get out of it. If you think someone dodgy is knocking at your door, report them to the National Travelling Conmen hotline on 1300 133 408. You can send them packing from your house, and telling the authorities helps us to stop them doing it to others.
Dear Brilliant Lighting, as someone who will require artificial light for at least the next 3 years, I was most satisfied by the 3-year warranty displayed prominently on the box of your halogen floor lamp. But then I opened the box to find a letter. Ah, a letter from my lamp. Nobody writes letters anymore, especially not lamps. I was intrigued. Brilliant product warranty, the letter read. Yes, it is a brilliant product warranty. 3 hassle-free halogen-tinted years stretching... What?
For a period of 1 year.
Outrageous! You can't just change 3 years to 1 year. That... What?
Commercial applications warrant this product for a period of 3 months.
Or 3 years to 3 months? Well, surely the warranty on the box that I could actually see when I bought the lamp takes precedence over...
This warranty voids any other warranty supplied with this product.
You're joking! There's no way that... What?
Complies with the new consumer guarantee requirements.
No, I don't know precisely what the new consumer guarantee requirements are, but I imagine they don't require something in a box that directly contradicts what's on the outside of that box in a way that makes it more shit! I found your hidden surprise most unpleasant. I hope by now you're feeling the same about mine. Good day, Rupert.
Welcome to FYouTube, your digital portal of discontent. First of all, that complaint letter from just before was actually based on a tip-off. So, we contacted Brilliant Lighting. Now, they told us that the problem was due to a factory mix-up and that they've since fixed up the confusion between the 1-year warranty and 3-year warranties with a box that says 2-year warranty. But if you did buy one of those earlier 3-year warranty boxes, the company says they will honour it. Oh, and they also said to please stop sending them poop. Next up.
Hello, my name is Jerry KOGAN, and I wish to make a complaint about so-called price guarantees.
Sorry, Jerry. Been there. Walk at that.
Scam, scam, scam.
Although I did like that other part of your video.
So you can save money on not using Craig.
Hey.
We all know the Commonwealth Bank likes to tell us what they can do, but Luke here told us what they can't do. CommBank says when you send an international money transfer through their system,
you can rest assured that your funds are secure.
So, Luke tried to transfer $1,000 to the UK, which bounced, he was told, because the details were wrong.
I've checked the details and they're correct, but that doesn't really matter. These things happen.
Well, it kind of does matter, but anyhow, the point is he didn't get $1,000 back. He got $863 back. Now, $22 of that is for the Commonwealth Bank's fee.
Okay, that's fine. I can understand why you would keep the transfer fee on a failed transaction. But what about the other $115?
Come on, Luke, $115? That's only 38 $3 middies of beer. Thanks, Joe. But anyway, maybe that $115 went here.
Just be aware that fees may be taken by correspondent banks along the way.
What intermediary bank? Where is it? How many are there? How much should they take?
When Luke asked CommBank those questions, he found they can't answer them.
Actually, they can, but it'll cost you an extra $25 to run a trace. Can you please explain to me how this is legal?
Good question, Luke. It seems when CommBank says
you can rest assured that your funds are secure,
what they really mean is
we are unable to control how the payment will be processed by other banks.
Wow, that's a real can't-do attitude. And as for charging $25 to find out where Luke's money mysteriously vanished to, well, we reckon that's a
scam, scam, scam.
Scam. And now to Penny, who says Dodo made a boo-boo. She spoke to a Dodo salesperson over the phone and...
She said, well, I think 20 gig will do you fine.
But then 4 weeks later, Penny got an email saying she was almost out of data.
And I went, oh my God, I've got 20 gig. How could I possibly use it up?
It turned out 15 gigabytes of Penny's 20 gigabyte plan was for off-peak use.
So as far as I was concerned, I had 5 gig. And I was extremely annoyed.
Now, if Penny was misled during the phone call, then she should be able to get out of the contract. But how can she prove this? If your call has been recorded, can you get access to it? And this is a highly relevant question, given that Privacy Awareness Week was on the 4th of May, which you might have missed because they really don't like publicising things. But the answer to that question is yes. Under the government's privacy guidelines, companies have to hand over any personal information, including phone recordings, unless it's unreasonable to do so. So, if they recorded a phone call, Penny has the right to get a copy of it. For instance, they could just email it to her, hopefully during off-peak hours. Unfortunately, when Penny asked for that recording, Dodo said, "It seems their recordings are extinct," which highlights that you should get onto companies with your complaints as soon as possible, because the privacy guidelines encourage companies to delete records if they're no longer needed, which can be as early as 30 days. Although Greg rang his insurance company over 2 years later and they still had a copy of the call. So it's always worth asking if the recording still exists, and if it does, insist on getting a copy. And finally tonight, loving pet owner Ange bought a Purina Scamper Mouse toy for her active cat Billy.
I thought this would be great for Billy because you say fast-moving mechanical mouse challenges even the most active cat. And on the back it reads, cats love to chase moving objects.
And this is Scamper Mouse in action.
Billy, ready, Billy? Billy, ready? 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 Ready, Billy? Ready? Ready? Go.
And just in case that mechanical mouse was too fast-moving, let's give that another go.
Ready, Billy? Ready? Ready? Really, Purina, you could do better.
Scamper Mouse.
Good night.